It's episode 241 of the Cassius Morris Show. Thanks for tuning in to this brand new edition of the podcast. Happy to let you guys know that this episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's grooming. Now, when it comes to Manscaped, there's pretty much nothing these guys don't have. They have the Lawnmower 4.0, the #1 below-the-waist trimmer for men. They also have the Weed Whacker. Now, this is great for all my guys out there who have the hairy nose, the hairy ears. Listen, it happens. If you have that, what you want to do is go ahead and pick up the Weed Whacker. Awesome little device. I have one myself. But the best thing about Manscaped is it goes far beyond just personal grooming. They have just about everything on this website. They have the refined cologne. They got the foot duster, which is a little foot deodorant. I think I need that, man. I get that stinky foot when I'm out having a long day, doing a shoot, whatever. You got to have that foot duster. They got the crop mop. That's the little wipe that you need. You know when you're going in all intimate with your lady, your husband, whatever. You need that crop mop. Give yourself a little wipe, that little freshen right before you hop in the bedroom. Listen, I'm just saying this shit's legit. I've been using that ball deodorant. I've been using it more than my regular lotion, okay? And this shit has got me feeling like Frank Sinatra walking through these streets. My nutsack was doing backflips and singing show tunes when I got done hitting him with this. Over 4 million men worldwide trust Manscaped. And with this exclusive offer, you cannot go wrong. We've got 20% off all orders and free worldwide shipping with the promo code CASS at manscaped.com. That's promo code CASS at manscaped.com for 20% off. You get your free shipping. It has been such a crazy week over here, where I'm at least in Western Canada. Now, I know we caught up a little bit about the trucker protests and all that craziness that was going on last week. And since the last episode, things have just come to a head. Things have gotten so insane here in Canada. This is the first time that I really have seen Canada be part of the main topic of conversation when it comes to politics, sort of on the world stage. I mean, I think right now it's the whole Russia-Ukraine thing and Canada that's really being discussed. Now, if you're not familiar with what's been going on, I mean, you know, it makes sense because there's been a lot happening. But to put it simply, the Canadian government has invoked what is called the Emergencies Act. Now, they call it the Emergencies Act, but pretty much what it means is the do whatever the fuck we deem fit act and basically do whatever we want with legal impunity. So at this point, protesters are being pushed out of Ottawa. People are being arrested without even being given a reason. This sort of goes with the theme also of the government freezing bank accounts and assets of people who have either proven to be part of the trucker convoy and supporting this whole thing, but not even just people who it's proven. They have the impunity and the right to freeze people's accounts who they suspect of supporting this movement without evidence and with no explanation required. I mean, this is some insane shit going on. And I got to tell you guys, man, like, I'm going to get to the whole clearing out the streets of Ottawa in a second because that's his whole own thing. But before I do, I just got to say, I am disgusted by the whole bank account freezing thing. I mean, most of the people who are going to be having their bank accounts frozen are likely protesting because they've just lost their livelihoods. And effectively, the message that's being sent out by the Canadian government right now is that if you don't agree with us, you are not allowed to feed your family. And this message is being sent through mandates, but it's also being sent through things like directly freezing people's bank accounts. I understand all sides of this, trust me, but just picture yourself as a person who's lost their career because they didn't want to get a vaccine. So now you really are having trouble feeding your family. Whatever money you have left, that is obviously essential and key to keeping you and your family alive. So then the government comes in, and because you're in the streets protesting the fact that you were just stripped of your job, that you've been doing well for the whole time, you know, it wasn't a work-related thing, this is something different. So now you're protesting that, and then the government freezes your bank account. I mean, that is just malicious, man. I don't care who you are, I don't care who you support. If you support that, I think that you need to do some looking in the mirror. I gotta be honest. Nobody's perfect. But that's fucked up. That's beyond not perfect. That's beyond imperfect. That's fucked up. You want to take food off people's tables when you've already tried to stop them from feeding their families. I find that reprehensible. And look, I'm really glad that this is being discussed. I'm really glad this is being talked about on the world stage. People like Tim Dillon, people like Joe Rogan, all these big Twitter influencers. I want to thank all of these people like the Nelk boys. These are the people who are coming out and using their platforms, talking about this and saying this is not okay anymore. This is insane. And I do believe it's insane. Now, when it comes to clearing the streets of the protesters, I really think this is a much different issue than sort of the morals behind freezing the bank accounts and all that. Off the top, I put myself in the shoes of somebody who lost their job due to these mandates. So now I want to go ahead and put myself in the shoes of an Ottawa resident and business owner. Now look, these protests have been insane. They've been going on for weeks now. And if somebody was going to ask me how I feel about these protests being shut down in some way, do I think it should happen? My answer would be probably yes. I think it's a really, really challenging thing to gauge how a protest that's been going on for weeks is actually unfolding when you're not there. I think that there's people all across the world taking sides in these protests. But the truth is, we don't know exactly what's going on moment to moment. And the truth about the videos that come out is that almost everybody at these events has an agenda. So if they're putting up a video, whether it makes the event look positive or whether it makes it look negative, most of the people are trying to somehow sway your opinion of how you're seeing things. So I don't think that sitting at home watching videos of a protest that's been going on for weeks, especially because if it's just a day or two, people could probably catch most of the key moments. But when it's something like this and it's so sprawled out and spread out across the entire province, essentially, I think it's really, really hard to gauge whether it should continue or not. But I do know people who live in Ottawa who are not involved in any of this. I mean, obviously everybody has an opinion, but not everybody wants to protest. And, I know people with kids who live there. And this is really, really taking a toll on them, and that totally makes sense. I mean, there's been protests going on here. I'm across the country from Ottawa. And when there's been protests going on and I'm hearing the horns blaring from downtown and stuff, it is a little bit unsettling in some ways. And it's not necessarily for one specific reason, but it's just when there's unrest going on, it can be unsettling whether a person agrees with what's going on or not. And I think what's going on in Ottawa is very, very stressful for people who are just everyday people just trying to feed their families. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to feed our families. So I get both sides of it. There's people in the streets right now who are banging on their horns because they want to feed their families. And then there's people opposing these entire protests because it's affecting their sleep, it's affecting their business, and it's affecting overall, bottom line, their sort of method to feed their family. So everybody's just trying to eat and everybody's just trying to stay safe. And that's what I put on social media the other day. We all have a fairly common goal here, people. Let's not forget this. Let's not forget the fact that everybody who's super riled up in Canada, who's a Canadian right now, they're not riled up because they don't love this country. They're riled up because they love this country. And however you see it through your lens, whether it's you see it, the country is being ruined by mandates and COVID, or whether you see that the country is being ruined by truckers and protests, the common theme between those two ideologies is that the country is being ruined in some way, and you love this country, and you don't want to see your home in the country that you grew up in and were born and raised in and are proud of fall in some way. Falling and being in a bad state, it all depends how you look at it. Sort of, what you diagnose depends on how you look at things. But we all have that in common. And it's so sad to see people being pitted against each other, man. People are being pit against each other who pretty much have the same goals. I mean, obviously there's fringe people who are extremists anywhere. I mean, there's people out there with signs saying burn the unvaccinated, but and then there's also people saying, hang everybody in government. I think both of those things are equally insane, and I don't think those people fall under what I'm talking about. But when it comes to just regular people and regular protesters even, and regular citizens who are speaking against the protests, they all have the same goal, and they want to be safe, and they want to feel fulfilled, and they want things to be okay. So I get it. I totally get it. And I get the police being sick of this shit. Listen, I grew up in a family with people in law enforcement. People really close to me in my immediate family and people not very close and sort of, people who weren't blood relatives, but we'd call them uncle, whatever. And so I have a very unique perspective, I think, on the whole law enforcement thing. And I get why these people are so angry. I mean, their chief of police just resigned. I mean, they've been going through this, fighting people. And the thing is, too, about law enforcement especially, they've been fighting with people, being the mask police as well as the regular police for 2.5 years now. And it grates on a person. Again, I'm not sticking up for any police who are running people over on horses. Trust me. I'm not sticking up for bad cops. But all I'm trying to say is that I get it partially why some of these cops are so aggravated. And let me also throw this in too. There's nothing a good cop hates more than a bad cop. That's the one thing that I really, really want people to understand. And that's just my opinion. There's nothing a good cop hates more than a bad cop. Because a good cop spends his whole life trying to undo what a bad cop continues to do on a daily basis. It's like the cleanup crew. So there's a lot of bad cops. There's probably more bad cops, I hate to say it, than there are good cops, if we're being frank. But let's not blame all cops. And let's not dehumanize cops or firefighters or anybody in a suit, because this is stressing them out and affecting them just as much as it's affecting you, me, and the next guy. And people do have limits. I mean, this Emergencies Act thing is insane. It's a really, really scary time. I can speak as a Canadian. I was born and raised here. I think, if you didn't see this coming in some way, I think you were either being dishonest with yourself or you weren't paying attention. I think that's really the only two options, because we've seen it happen in Europe. We've seen it happening in different parts of the world. We've seen people getting pepper sprayed for walking down the street and getting a coffee or whatever the case may be, or just walking. And now we're starting to see people harassed here for getting coffee. Here's a video clip, actually, that surfaced on Twitter today of someone just about being arrested for going to grab a cup of coffee.
I just want to get a coffee, okay?
Why is the camera in my face right now? Are you here partaking?
You walked
right
up
now
to
you're
me.
in the red zone?
I'm scared. I want to go for a coffee down there.
Okay.
Can I go
where's
for
your
a coffee?
residence, ma'am? Still being arrested right
Do you
now.
live in this?
You're
I
not
don't live
excluded
here,
from
but
that.
I'm
Where do you live?
Alberta.
Time for you to leave.
I can't even go down there for
No,
a coffee.
no,
Go grab
you're
your stuff
in the
and
red
leave.
zone right now. If you don't leave right now, you will be arrested. Do you understand me?
I can't go for a coffee.
Grab your stuff, because if we see you, we'll be patrolling all day. If we see you again, it'll be different.
Leave. I tell you. Take your camera and get out of here. Do you understand that?
I'm walking away.
Walk away. Your phone doesn't need to be in our face when you're walking away. Go.
Please have my phone.
Are you going to walk or are you going to get arrested?
I was
Go
walking
now.
away.
Get out of here.
So this is where we're at. This is where we're at in terms of the country and the state of the country. And I think it's a really sad thing. And you know what? I have been talking about this, and I don't talk about politics, but frankly, I think this is beyond politics. I think now we're in the territory now of, I think, human rights. And I think that what we're watching unfold is going to affect democracy moving forward. I think this is going to affect a lot of things moving forward. And you know what? I think it needs to be discussed. And I hate that some people will hear me discussing this, especially Canadians, because I know a lot of Canadians, since I was born and raised here, they see it as me speaking down on the country or, somehow trying to take away from the greatness that the country has or whatever the case may be. And, that couldn't be further from the truth. If I didn't care, I wouldn't say anything. If I didn't think this country was great and I thought, yeah, sure, this is to be expected, then I wouldn't be talking about it. But the reason I'm talking about it and the reason that I'm trying to point out how this has been going is because I don't want to see this country go this way, because I think we have a wonderful country. We have some of the best infrastructure of any country in the world. Our healthcare system is one of the greatest. There's a lot of issues with that we got to talk about soon. There's a lot of issues with the healthcare system, but again, we have one of the greatest in the world. We have some of the greatest schools in the world. We have very good things, and we can't let the social issues take away from the wonderful infrastructure that this country has. This country has a lot to offer, and it's a really, really good place to live. It's been almost seen as a safe haven from different places in the world, but that has slowly been fading away. That is how I feel as a Canadian who's been living here. That has been slowly fading away. It gets to the point where the negatives start to outweigh the positives. And it gets scary. And, as somebody who's lived here my entire life, I will be moving out of this country as soon as physically possible. I do not plan on living here or staying here because, and again, it's not because it's not a great country and it's not because the people aren't great, but the people are very easily manipulated by the government in Canada. And a lot of people aren't going to like that I'm saying this, but I don't really care because I think that it's very important that someone who's actually in it is reporting what it's like. I look at this whole COVID, some of this stuff that's been going on, almost the same as cannabis before it was legal here. Now, of course, weed's legal in Canada, but before it was legal, a vast percentage of the population just was vehemently against it. And I remember having conversations with people explaining how it has insane medical benefits for cancer and for people with epilepsy, that it's stopping people with muscle conditions from punching themselves and having seizures, and just the vast mountains of medical studies that have shown that this was in a lot of ways a positive thing. And it didn't matter who I talked to. The only response would be, well, it's illegal, so I don't care. Or it's illegal, so therefore, whatever you say is invalid. And we're seeing the same thing with this COVID stuff. It seems like no matter how far things go with the mandates or how crazy the police get or whatever happens, it seems like people are like, yeah, but this is just, it's good because the government says it and the government wouldn't lead us wrong. Regardless of other facts, regardless of other things, regardless of other countries in the world saying, this is insane, what's wrong with you guys? A lot of Canadians just say, well, if the government says it, that's what I'll do. There's a lot of people I've talked to here that say they'll be wearing masks for the rest of their lives. And I mean, that's fine, but I do find it kind of scary because what happened to trust the science? And that's sort of my question with this whole Trudeau shit. What happened to trust the science? Because other countries, researchers, all these same scientists who told us to wear a mask, who told us that we need to be isolated, who told us all these things, the vast majority of those same people are producing data showing us it's okay to resume our lives. It's okay to start going out again. It's okay to get together again. In a lot of cases, it's okay not to wear a mask again. This is what the science is now telling us. And I was good with it for the last 2.5 years when it was saying otherwise. I wear a mask everywhere. I do everything that they asked me to do has been done. But now that the science is showing the opposite, if you are not believing it, I think you are the problem now. I mean, we've been asked to believe the science, to trust the science. That is what people are doing. Now, to add to the craziness, which of course, this just comes in the perfect, timely fashion, one of Jeffrey Epstein's former associates, who evidently was pretty high up as an associate to Epstein, was found hanged in his cell around 1 a.m. on Saturday. His name was Jean-Luc Brunel, and he was a 76-year-old who had been held for over a year as the investigation on suspicion for rape of minors and trafficking continued to unfold. Now, there's a couple pictures and sort of affiliations of this guy with Epstein, especially a picture of him with Ghislaine Maxwell on a private jet and Epstein. Ghislaine looks pretty fucking trash in this picture too, by the way. She looks like she might have popped a Quaalude or something. But you know what, man? This is just, my question sort of I kind of have a couple questions. One, is anybody surprised? I mean, really, the only thing that surprises me about this entire situation is that Ghislaine Maxwell is still alive. That's honestly the only thing that surprises me about this situation. This entire Jeffrey Epstein saga, I think Eric Weinstein said it the best. He said that we, as a collective society, stumbled upon something with this story, with this situation. And we only know, I agree with Eric, like, we only know little parts of it. We don't know all of it. We don't know how deep this goes. And this whole Jeffrey Epstein situation is insane. My point in saying this is that we could have every Epstein witness die. And I don't think it would make much of a difference because people would just shrug it off and move on to the next thing. So it is insane. You know, it kind of goes back with the theme of the cannabis thing that we were talking about. It doesn't really matter how much evidence you have of something. People will believe what they believe. It's like if they don't want to be connected to an idea, if they don't want to be open to a possibility, they won't be. It doesn't matter how much evidence you present. And I find it fascinating, man. But these are crazy times. And I'm glad you guys kicked back to talk with me about it, man. We got to stay on top of this. We got to stick together. We can't have every piece of media that comes out about this being divisive or trying to change people. Like, I'm not here to change anybody's opinion on anything. I'm just here to talk about how I feel and what I see and what I've experienced. So I appreciate you guys checking in with me. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to check out manscaped.com. They're the best grooming company in the world for men. Over 4 million men worldwide trust Manscaped. And with this exclusive offer, you cannot go wrong. We've got 20% off all orders and free worldwide shipping with the promo code CAS at manscaped.com. That's promo code CAS at manscaped.com for 20% off. You get your free shipping. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. And listen, I've been feeling real confident. I've been feeling goddamn cavalier when I've been using my Manscaped. I told you guys, listen, the ball deodorant, I thought I had it over there. It's over on the ledge. This shit, I told you, it's going to have you feeling suave. It's going to have you feeling, you know, when Spider-Man, in Spider-Man 3, he had the Venom drop on him. And he put on that black suit. And he's walking down the street like he's hot shit. You're going to feel even more confident than that on this Manscaped. This is that Tobey Maguire serum part 3, okay? There's no way home from this shit, okay? They got the crop mop, which is a little wipe you carry. It's a little secret wipe. You don't got to advertise it. You don't got to tell people. The crop mop is a little wipe for down there. You know what I mean? This is for beneath the belt. When you're going in with your man, your lady, and you want to stay fresh, you've been maybe out at the club, like maybe you're a tourist, maybe you're out in Vegas at a bar. You're going to want the crop mop to stay fresh. You don't want to be sticking your balls in the sink in the hotel. The girl opens the door, she forgot her makeup remover. You got your leg up on the fucking counter. You got your balls, your dick's in the sink. You're washing it. It's not a good look. It's a lot easier if you go get that crop mop. They got the crop cleanser, which is the hair and body wash. This shit is going to have you smelling like Hercules, okay? This is back when Hercules had his body wash. He was the only one in the medieval ages that smelled good. They got the foot duster. Now, the 24-hour foot duster deodorant spray. This is what all my athletes need. All my dudes who got that foot odor. I got bad-smelling feet, man. My mom used to tell me I had old man feet when I was a little kid. You need that foot duster. The refined cologne. One of the greatest smells I've ever smelt. And the Plow 2.0. Of course, the official razor by them. They got the lawnmower, they got the weed whacker, they got products for days. But the common theme is that they're quality, they're incredible products, and you're going to want to check them out. Manscaped.com, promo code CAS for 20% off and free shipping. And I appreciate you guys checking out this episode of the podcast. Make sure to follow me on all social media at Cassius Morris, at Cassius Show. I'm on TikTok at Cassius Morris _ just passed my 10,000 likes. Appreciate you guys. We just started that account, so go follow me there. And we'll catch you guys very, very soon. Thanks for checking in. Rock on.